A stone's throw away from the beach resorts of Rimini, Riccione and Cattolica, MotoGP's 13th chapter in 2024 comes from the Red Bull Grand Prix of San Marino. This tiny corner of Italy has produced some of the motorsport mad nation's best MotoGP riders, but it's the turn of the current generation to produce some Misano magic in the 13-lap Tissot Sprint. It's time for MotoGP. So this is the 30th time Misano has hosted a Grand Prix. Its first back in 1980, over 40 laps. That Grand Prix won by American legend Kenny Roberts Sr. Slightly shorter coming up next in the Tissot Sprint. 13 laps to tackle this 4.2 kilometre, 2.6 mile layout, which in places is pretty tight and in places super fast and jaw-dropping action. A short run down the 530-metre start-finish rate leads you into the heavy braking zone for turn 1. Into that tight first sector through turns 2, 3, 4 and 5. Through the fast kink of 7 where the bikes hit 300 k's. Turn 11, one of the most spectacular corners on the entire Grand Prix calendar. And the two lefts to finish off the lap, 15 and 16. Turn 1, 8, 9 and 10. Demanding on the front brakes and the front tyres. And turn 11, the highest stress zone here in Misano. Overtaking hotspots, there are a lot of them. Turns 1, 2, 4 and 5, 4 in that first sector alone. On the brakes into turn 8 as well, which is where we see this move. Marco Bezzecchi slotting into second place ahead of Pecco Bagnaia 1 year ago. So 6 days ago in Motorland Aragon, it was Marc Marquez for the very first time as a Gresini Ducati rider that finally ended his 3-year victory drought. An early skirmish between Jorge Martin and Pedro Acosta dropped the Martinator out of contention as Marc Marquez dominated a Grand Prix which ended in this controversial collision between Alex Marquez and Pecco Bagnaia. Well, that sees Martin bring a 23-point World Championship lead into round 13 here in Misano. But he is back on the top step of the podium. Marc Marquez, his last win pre-Aragon last weekend was right here in Misano, the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix of 2021. We can bury that stat because for the first time in 1,043 days, the number 93 was back in P1. Hopes of a back-to-back success though in 2024, well, they took a big dent this morning after a big crash for Marc Marquez right at the end of a thrilling and dramatic 15-minute Q2 session, which kicked off this sprint Saturday here in Misano. Marquez down heavily at turn 15, uninjured, shaken and no doubt a little bit stirred, but damaging for his hopes of a back-to-back sprint and Grand Prix success. 9th place on the grid. Marquez goes. Matt Burt-Lewis will be in the commentary box. Simon Crayfile down in pit lane in nigh on perfect conditions. We are nestled a stone's throw away from Italy's beautiful Adriatic coast, and we have beautiful sunshine. Just a few clouds in the sky, no threat of rain, nearly 30 degrees ambient temperature, and those Italian fans, well, they have very much already enjoyed a super Saturday here at the Misano World Circuit Marco Simoncelli, as we have an all-Italian front row of the grid for the upcoming 13-lap sprint, tomorrow's 27-lap Grand Prix of San Marino, and the boss will be very, very happy indeed. Some say he's the GOAT, he's the 9 times world champion, always, of course, here cheering on his riders in Misano. Well, this morning it could not have gone any better for the Valentino Rossi prodigies. Pecco Bagnaia on pole position for the 20th time in MotoGP, just the 2nd time in 2024, on the front row with his fellow VR46 Academy stablemates Frankie Morbidelli. Morbidelli's first front row start since Jerez 2021, 62 long Grand Prix ago, and the fairy tale dream front row as far as Valentino Rossi is concerned, just what the doctor ordered. He locked out the front row with Pertamina Enduro VR46 Racing Team runner Marco Bezzecchi completing your top 3. I must admit, I thought that was probably the first ever lockout for a VR46 Academy of the front row of the grid, but of course it was in Assen last year. Marco Bezzecchi on pole, Bagnaia 2nd and Luca Marini in 3rd place on the grid. It's a rare occurrence. The Italian fans are happy it happened. Valentino Rossi's certainly happy it happened. And after all of his trials and tribulations of Aragon last weekend, Lewis, Pecco Bagnaia certainly happy it happened.
Yeah, if you'd have offered him that grid, he would have bitten your hand off earlier on this morning. Not just the identity of who's alongside him, two very good friends of Pecco Bagnaia, but to take pole position with his chief title rival and current points leader, Jorge Martin, down on the second row of the grid. Frankie Morbidelli partly responsible for that, taking second on the grid earlier on. His best qualifying since 2021. Last time he was on the front row of the grid, and the first time as a Prima Private rider that he has out-qualified Jorge Martin. So while he might not show it on his face, he's often uber cool, is Frankie Morbidelli. There must be a real glow underneath those leathers. Back on the front row of the grid for the first time since 2020.
No great return in the sprint era on Saturdays for the 29-year-old Italian. Points in only 7 of the 31 previous sprints. He was a Grand Prix winner in the San Marino round back in 2020. That was Yamaha's first win here in San Marino since 2014. And completing your VR46 Academy lockout. Great to see him with the smile back on his face. Great to see him back in Parc Ferme. Marco Bezzecchi, who threatened an outstanding ride in qualifying. He was fastest this morning in the second free practice session, was the 25-year-old Italian. 8th front row of his Grand Prix career in MotoGP. First since the Spanish round in Jerez. And that's what it meant to the boss. That's what it meant to Marco Bezzecchi. What a lovely shot that is, as they embraced. Valentino's got the VR46 Riders Academy T-shirt. Of course he has, when his riders lock out that front row. Third time though in the last 4 Grand Prix, Jorge Martin finds himself heading the second row of the grid, looking to end the seemingly constant sequence of second places. Silverstone, Red Bull Ring and Aragon last time out. Jorge Martin has taken the checker flag in all 3 sprints second, and in all 3 Grand Prix second. He is building though a pretty healthy World Championship lead, 23 clear of Bagnaia going into this San Marino sprint.
Well, at least we won't have a 4th consecutive Tissot sprint when the World Championship lead changed hands, thankfully for Jorge Martin's point of view. Of course, we saw back at the start of this second phase of the season at Silverstone, a Bagnaia crash saw Martin take the championship lead. Bagnaia sprint win in Austria saw him go back ahead of Martin, although they were level on points. And of course, sprint from hell last Saturday for Pecco Bagnaia saw him relinquish that points lead back to Jorge Martin once again. Martin has a 23-point World Championship lead, I guess, to defend this weekend. It does feel like the kind of weekend where Martin is defending his points lead rather than seeking to extend it. But as you say, he's done such a good job this year. When he hasn't been able to win, he's made sure he's finished second, or at the very worst, on the podium. That's how you build World Championship campaigns together, and Jorge Martin is going the right way about it.
Pedro Acosta picked a fight with the Ducatis in Aragon last weekend, didn't he? His first double podium of his impressive rookie season in the sprint and the Grand Prix. He's picking a fight once again with the Ducatis here in their backyard in Misano. First time we've seen Acosta qualify top 6 in 2 races in a row. He's the first non-Ducati rider on the podium since Austin. There is Marc Marquez then. He'll be kicking himself, a little bit disappointed to find himself at the back of that 3rd row in 9th place. Looked strong all weekend, second in both sessions. On free practice Friday was Marc Marquez, but he's got an awful lot of work to do in the sprint and the Grand Prix tomorrow from the back of that 3rd row. Certainly not helped by the fact that he had that late crash in Q2, a heavy fall, losing the front of that Gresini GP23 in turn 15, in a sector where Marquez really has been looking to make time. He was fastest in qualifying this morning in that sector 4. Unfortunately, it was the very same sector where he crashed. 7th time in 13 this year that Marquez finds himself 3rd row or lower on the grid. Fabio Quartararo, perfect timing, he pops up on our screen. It's been a brilliant weekend so far for the 2021 World Champion, of course, crowned World Champion 3 years ago, right here at the Misano World Circuit, Marco Simoncelli. First time he's qualified inside the top 10 since his home round in Le Mans. Baby steps, but shoots of recovery, it seems, coming from the Iwata factory. Let's get some pre-sprint thoughts of the boss, Lynn Jarvis, who joins Simon. Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Yeah, good afternoon. And Lynn, we know Paolo has taken over your job, but I thought it was a nice time to say goodbye and farewell, and your thoughts, and how often we're going to see you at a race meeting, and the big one is your thoughts on Fabio's qualifying.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Simon. It's a bit too early to say goodbye. I think we can say goodbye at the end of the year at Valencia. Paolo is here today, but he will take over from January 1st next year. Yeah, anyway, I will be around next year, but probably a lot less races. I'll be a senior advisor for Yamaha, try to make the smooth transition. And of course, super happy that we finally showing some real progress here. Fabio did a great couple of days here. It's nice to be qualifying straight into Q2. So hopefully, step by step, we'll be back in the game and be strong again.
It's really clear that you're making, or Yamaha, all departments making a huge effort.
Yeah, it's true. In fact, a lot of people said to me, this year should be easy, it's your last year. But on the contrary, it's far from easy because we're expanding. You know, there's a lot of work involved, for instance, with Pramac and getting 2 new riders. Then the Moto2 team will be our team next year. We will manage it together with Pramac. So we're expanding a lot, trying to put in place everything we need to step up and come back and be strong in the future.
Always good to talk to you, Lynn. Good luck this afternoon.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, Simon. Thanks to Yamaha boss Lynn Jarvis. Of course, yeah, winding down towards the end of his senior management career at Yamaha. Fabio Quartararo, Aragon last weekend. We saw what it meant to him and the Yamaha factory team when he took that very hard-earned 8th place finish in the sprint. Just the 9th points finish in 31 sprints for Fabio Quartararo. Both he and Alex Rins working with a new chassis here this weekend, which they feel has found a bit more edge grip. Still missing the acceleration and drive grip, but as we mentioned, it's baby steps. Rome wasn't built in a day, a competitive Yamaha wasn't built in a day, but there are some positive signs emerging from the Iwata factory.
And it's those signs which have convinced Miguel Oliveira to sign up for the new Pramac Yamaha factory team, Prima Pramac Yamaha Factory Racing, to give its official title next season. Miguel Oliveira expected to be partnered by Jack Miller, although that is the worst kept secret in the paddock. That is yet to be actually confirmed. Oliveira has seen all of that hard work going on at Yamaha. He's had the conversations, he's seen the plans for the future, and it's a plan that Miguel Oliveira wants to be a part of.
I think I'll stick to Prima Pramac next season. It's a bit of a mouthful, isn't it? It's a bit of a mouthful. We have a congratulations to Yamaha. Of course, they worked hard to convince an independent team to join forces with them as they look to take big steps on this long road to recovery. And as Lewis mentioned, 21 of the 22 seats now filled for 2025. Just Jack Miller to get his deal over the line with Pramac Yamaha, which seems like it is very close. And of course, reuniting with a team that Jack loves when they were in their Ducati time, of course. Jack working very, very closely with the Paolo Campinotti, the team owner, team boss, looking to see if Jorge Martin can extend his 23-point lead in the World Championship and to see if Frankie Morbidelli finally can take a podium finish in a sprint or Grand Prix. Frankie had a great qualifying this morning. Second, he starts on the all-Italian front row. Let's get the thoughts of Prima Pramac Ducati boss as is right now. Gino Borsoy, who's with Simon.
Gino, great to see that smile on Frankie's face, you know, when he got front row this morning. And really would like to hear from you what happened. Like, Jorge, amazing first lap time on the first tyre. I expected when he did that to do something even better with the second one, but it didn't happen. Can you tell us what happened?
Well, honestly speaking, we expected even better but he had a problem on the rear tire. Sliding, no problem on the tire, but he had a big slide in the first corner on his first lap. He lost the chance to get the better lap time. So, but it is what it is right now. He started in the second row. It's not a disaster, obviously. But now we have also Morbidelli in front. He can make a good job today. He was so fast through the weekend. I think he have also a good pace. So let's see what's going on. But at the moment, seems that we are okay for the sprint race.
Is it a straight Ford call for tires? Easy choice?
Well, easy choice. Everybody will go with the same tire, soft on rear. The soft become good the third, fourth lap. So for the sprint race, we have no problem.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Simon. Thanks to Gino Borsoi. The best Saturday of the season so far in terms of qualifying for Prima Pramac Racing. Jorge Martin, we just saw the back end of it, didn't we, this morning as he powered that GP24 through turn 3. The rear did properly step out from underneath him, cost him that chance to get himself on the front row. But let's not forget his outstanding record in the sprints. 24 sprint podiums in 31, 13 wins. Can he keep that tally going to build that 23-point World Championship lead? You can see there the heat haze on the grid here in Misano, an all Italian front row in Italy.
Bagnaia, Morbidelli and Bezzecchi is your front row. Jorge Martin off the front row but starts fourth. Pedro Acosta and Brad Binder leading the KTM Challenge on row 2. Alex Marquez and Nea Bastianini, a bit of a Misano specialist, and Marc Marquez on row 3. Marquez crashed in qualifying. Fabio Quartararo, Maverick Vinales and Jack Miller on row 4 of the grid. Every rider certainly in the front half of the grid has gone for the medium front soft grid combination. That continues on to rows 5 and 6. Aleix Espargaro, Fabio Di Gianantonio and Paul Espargaro on that 5th row of the grid. From John Zarco, Gusto Fernandez and Miguel Oliveira. Raul Fernandez lines up 19th. It's been a tough weekend for him. Alex Rins lines up 20th from Luca Marini, Taka Nakagami and Honda wildcard Stefan Brad.
Yeah, a slightly depleted field here this weekend in Misano. If you're joining us for the very first time and wondering where Repsol Honda star Joan Mir is, well, sadly, he has been ruled out for the remainder of this San Marino Grand Prix. He skipped yesterday's action with a real severe bout of gastroenteritis. Some improvements overnight, but sound like when he tucked into a hearty breakfast this morning in the hospitality, he took another turn for the worse. Nothing serious, nothing that they can't control, but Joan Mir, unfortunately, the 27-year-old, ruled out for the remainder of this Misano Grand Prix weekend. So we wish Joan a speedy recovery as we look at Pedro Acosta, then middle of that second row. There's some aggressive, hard-charging riders on that row too, aren't there? Martin Acosta Binder. That is a pretty mouth-watering second row of the grid. Binder doing a pretty good job, Lewis. 6 on the grid, having come through that very tricky Q1 this morning. Yeah,
narrowly missed out yesterday in practice. Was 11th at the end of practice, and that can transform your weekend if you're the wrong side of that dotted line. Pedro Acosta, though, at one point earlier on, looked like he was set to qualify on the front row of the grid, but he ended up missing out. He will start 5th, but he'll be looking to attack from there. Looking to move forward from the 3rd row of the grid are the Gresini Ducatis. Alex Marquez starts 7th, Marc Marquez 9th after a crash in qualifying. Let's get the thoughts of McKinney Messini, who joins Simon.
Yes, he does. Pretty good lap time for both your riders. I imagine Mark hoped for more. What are you hoping for this afternoon?
Yeah, we was hoping for more from the qualify, but despite the crash, we have to start from the 3rd row. So will be a crucial start. We'll see if we can reach some position in the first 1 or 2 laps. Then we'll see. Will be very difficult here to pass in Misano, but we'll try.
I imagine the passing's so crucial because it looks like he has the pace, Mark.
Yes, it's like this. He has the pace. I think that only Pecco has a really good pace to go away, but with the other we can fight with.
Thank you, Michele. Good luck.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks to Michele Messini. Thanks, Simon. Yeah, not the easiest circuit to overtake. And now Bastianini, well, it's not been the home Grand Prix that he was expecting so far. Not a happy home return. Of course, he missed the 2023 instalment of the San Marino Grand Prix. The beast, middle of that 3rd row in a Marquez sibling sandwich, is the 26-year-old. He brings an outstanding record to his home round. In terms of Grand Prix, his last 5 starts here have all been podium finishes. All 3 of his last MotoGP races on Sundays have been podiums, but you do fear from 8th place in the grid, and he hasn't really figured close to that top 3. Problems yesterday getting that medium rear tyre hooking up mid-corner. That shouldn't be an issue this afternoon as everybody goes for the soft rear tyre, but certainly something for him to ponder over the full distance, 27 laps tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah, both of Enea Bastianini's 2020 podiums here came from further back on the grid than he's starting this weekend, but as you say, he just doesn't appear to have demonstrated through practice so far that he's got the kind of performance to certainly worry his teammate Pecco Bagnaia on the front row of the grid. Certainly the expectation is that it's going to be Bagnaia and the rest. Let's quickly head down to the grid and get some KTM thoughts with 2 on the 2nd row of the grid. Pit Virus with Simon.
Pit, fantastic qualifying for two of your riders. Please give us your thoughts.
Well, I mean, everything came together like I was hoping for, of course. We we were building the last weeks to try to get riders' confidence back. And the key to succeed here is full riders' confidence for the bike, and especially for the front. And I feel we are in a good way. And yeah, having two of our boys in the second row, as you know, we always point out that having a decent start position is our weak point of the whole project, I would even say. Having them in the second row, I really hope we can do something out of here.
Thank you, Pete.
Thank you.
Special guest on the grid, joining Valentino Rossi, Kimi Antonelli, who will join the F1 ranks next season. Valentino Rossi comes to embrace Frankie Morbidelli, second place on the grid for the Prima Pramac Ducati rider. Frankie Morbidelli's last podium was in that very Grand Prix Jerez 2021, where he's on his last front row. He'll feel that, well, that'll be the main job tomorrow, but he would love nothing more than to take a first Tissot sprint success. His previous best in the sprints, well, that was a fourth place, wasn't it, early this season in Jerez and in Mugello. He was fourth right at the start of the sprint here as well in Argentina 18 months ago.
When he was on board this factory Yamaha that Fabio Quartararo will be set to start from. As you saw there on screens, Fabio Quartararo does have a good habit of making ground at the start, although that is in part down to the fact that he usually has quite a lot of ground to make up, because the Yamaha doesn't exactly excel in qualifying trim. They did test here a couple of weeks ago. Quartararo said that the time attack pace was something of a disaster. They have improved upon that here, and just to get into Q2 is already something of a victory for the Yamahas. Quartararo arguably one of the stars of the sprint in Aragon a week ago.
Jorge Martin looking for another podium, looking to keep this great run of podiums ticking over, to keep his championship charge firmly on course. Of course, this is the first of our 2 September visits to the Misano World Circuit. Marco Simoncelli for just the second time in 2024. Marco Bezzecchi starting on the front row of the grid, just keeping as cool as he possibly can with a little portable fan there. Very hot conditions, 29 degrees, creeping close to 30 degrees ambient temperature as the clock counts down to this 13th sprint of 2024. Pedro Acosta, last weekend in Aragon, took his 4th sprint podium, his first since that Italian Grand Prix in Mugello. BMW safety car peels away. This first sector's very, very tight, particularly that short run, then hard on the brakes into the first corner. The field then do tend to really bunch and close up through turns 2 and 3. We have seen plenty of drama there down the years. Let's hope everybody secures safe passage through that tight first sector. Pecco Bagnaia then on pole position, but it's an all-Italian front row in Italy, an all-VR46 front row, an all-Ducati front row. Doesn't really get any better than that, does it? A Grand Prix race, Simona GP. Bezzecchi third, Morbidelli second, but on pole position, second pole position of the season, his only other pole so far this year. He went on to run riot in both the sprint and the Grand Prix in Assen. Let's find out if home is where the heart is, though, for Pecco Bagnaia on pole.